At Subway, start your day the flavorful way by adding new guacamole to your favorite breakfast sandwich. Perfectly made with a hint of jalapeno, our guacamole turns up the flavor to your breakfast. Try it today on a hot and toasty egg, white, and cheese. Subway, eat fresh.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The BS Report. The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. It has been a while since we had one. Unfortunately, I've been traveling for NBA Countdown the last 2 weeks. We are on tonight, actually, before Game 6 at 7:30 ESPN. We have a 3-part podcast coming for you today. We have so many guests, so much to talk about. The Clippers. I'm so fascinated for so many different reasons by this story, so we're going to hit a whole bunch of people. In part 1, coming up right now, Dave Dameshek, my old friend from Jimmy Kimmel Live, we've been talking for years about what's going to happen if the Clippers change their name, if they got sold. What should they do? What should the name be? So we're going to go through all of the initial steps of our platform for what the name should be. And then I'm going to have my old boss, Jimmy Kimmel, on to talk about his thoughts on the Clippers situation and Sterling and a whole bunch more. That's part 1. Part 2, Ramona Shelburne from ESPN.com. She's going to come on, and she's been reporting this story. She's been doing a great job on it. We're going to talk about basically everything from a business standpoint with this story. Steve Ballmer, what the future of the Clippers is, whether they change the name, whether he buys the Kings and AG, all this stuff. So that's part 2. And then part 3, Zach Lowe from Grantland. We're going to talk about the Clippers quickly, and then we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. This is part 1. Here is from NFL.com, Dave Dameshek. He has been calling for a new Clipper name, and now we have our hero, Steve Ballmer. He's bought the Clippers for $2 billion. It's time for a name change. What are you thinking?
Well, this is something you and I have been talking about for years and years now, and only when it was just to wash off the ugly past of Loy Vaught and fellas like that. Now we have a righteous reason to do it. Now never better a time to turn the page into a brighter future, right? So let's do it. The only point of contention between you and me is what it should be. First of all, Los Angeles, when you think NBA, will forever be Lakers. That much is clear. So let's distance this team from the LA Lakers and just change the first part of it to Hollywood or California or something like that. Way better. Not LA, anything but LA, as a matter of fact, right?
All right, hold that thought. We both agree that they have to change the name. I feel 100% on this. I just think it's the final break from the Sterling era. You got rid of him. There's really no great history at all here with the Clippers. They're this laughingstock franchise. They had a racist owner. Just start over. We've seen it with when the Bucks changed their uniforms, they won the Super Bowl. When the Patriots changed their uniforms, they won the Super Bowl. The Clippers need to cut their ties, move forward, different name. We both agree on that.
Yes, 100%. And like I say, I think Hollywood is a good place to start there. It's jazzier than L.A., so right out of the gate, you distinguish yourself in that regard. Now,
hold on. Important distinction, though. The Clippers do not play in Hollywood.
I know it, but you know what? In a world in which the L.A. Angels don't even play in the county named Los Angeles, I think we can allow that. It's right. What is it? 2 miles away? It's close enough, I feel. I think we can.
Right, so you think Hollywood, not California? We wouldn't go California here.
I love California, and shame the devil that Artie Moreno doesn't go back to that instead of the hokey L.A. Halos. But yes, I think that Hollywood, again, and also it will allow for what the nickname is going to be. I think it helps sets it up. You like stars, which makes perfect sense. Although I would say this, though, as a little tip of the hat to Ballmer's hometown and all the noise about them wanting to move back to Seattle, how about just tip your hat to them and be the Superstars? Sounds supersonic-y. Sort of like I always say the Minnesota North Stars when they moved to Dallas. They missed a golden opportunity. Instead of being the Dallas Stars, they should have been the Dallas Lone Stars. It's a little bit of a tip of the hat back to their origins. Same way here. I think this is a good move. They could be the Hollywood Superstars, but I favor, of course, the Hollywood Knights. spelled with a K. A little word play, cool. You could even, if you really want to tweak the Sterling, make it the Dark Knight. I don't like the movie tie-ins generally, but I'm willing to allow it in this case just because it would upset the Sterling fans so much.
Can we? All right. So we both agree Hollywood. I like Hollywood too. I just want to make sure this is the right move. So when we really start pushing for it,
I agree. Let's get all our ducks in. Let's cross all the T's and dot the I's so that when we make our proposal to the Ballmer group, that there are no question marks. I think that let's see the forest for the trees. America doesn't know that Staples Center isn't in Hollywood. It's one of those things that people don't care. We'll be all right. I think the world will accept it.
And lots of teams play a little bit outside the epicenter. And also when they show any Laker game, they always show Hollywood Boulevard and they show Hollywood Hills, all that stuff. So step A, we both agree they need to change the name. Step B, we both agree on Hollywood. I was thinking if Hollywood Hills would be kind of cool too, even though they don't play in Hollywood Hills, but the Hollywood Hills blank would be cool. I
thought you were just saying that the Hills would be the name of the team. The Hills isn't bad because it is tall. All the guys are tall.
My worst case scenario is the Hollywood Walk.
That would be terrible. Yeah, I don't think that would work. I don't think a basketball team wants to be called the Walk. For so many different
reasons. It's really like, and by the way, if you want, send me suggestions. Hit Dameshek on Twitter. His Twitter handle is Dameshek. Send me suggestions. My reader email is on Grantland.com. If you click on the Simmons link, you can send me emails on that. So I think the best two choices that I've heard, Hollywood Knights, I think is great. Now you could talk me into the K, and you could also talk me into the N, because the K, you have the mascot with the suit of armor. I think that could be cool. Game of Thrones has never been hotter. Maybe you have a Game of Thrones tie-in. Maybe Khaleesi comes in for the first game. Or you go the other way. You go Hollywood Knights. Now you have like this cool night image. Like the jerseys would be cool. It would feel like a little, there's a restaurant in Hollywood called Dan Tana's. Like I just feel like it would kind of tie into this old school Hollywood and Sinatra and the Rat Pack and all these different parts of Hollywood from the last 6 years. I'm not against the N instead of the K.
Listen, I hear you on what you're saying, but you get the best of both worlds if you use the K, because the wordplay is still in effect. So Hollywood Nights, Bob Seger. That's the only question is, do we have to be inundated every game? Is that the intro song if the players are coming out? Seeger's Hollywood Nights. That might be a deal breaker for me. I don't know if I think I would get sick of that one real quick. But outside of that,
I've thought this out and I have a solution.
Lay it on us.
Hollywood Nights, great song. I'm not sure anyone under 25 knows what Hollywood Nights is, or maybe even who Bob Seger is. Bob Seger is the Like a Rock guy. In the 70s, there was about 3 years where Seger versus Springsteen was a legitimate argument, almost like Tom Hanks versus Michael Keaton. It's about a 3-year run where it was like you genuinely might have argued about that, and then Springsteen just blew him out of the water. But
that's good.
So here's what I think: Ballmer's obviously gonna have a minority owner, and whether it's Puff Daddy, P Diddy, whatever he calls himself now, whether it's Jay-Z, whoever, maybe it's Drake, some sort of hip hop star, you give that person 1% of their team, then you say to him, hey, get Bob Seger in a room. We're remaking Hollywood Nights. We're giving it a hip hop feel. You're taking the hook from the song. We're recasting this. Now we're blowing out Hollywood Nights as this awesome hip hop song, and that's the song that's going to play before every Clipper game. Hollywood Nights.
I love it. Bring it into the 21st century. Look at you. That's terrific. See, I think that's a good idea. I like the K. And again, like you indicate, the word night spelled with a K. These are heroes. These are people who swoop in a time of crisis and save us. So I think that works given the last month or so with Sterling. I like that. Stars make so much sense. And actually, as a tip of the hat, people may not know that there was a minor league ball club in LA called the Hollywood Stars at one point. So in that way,
Well,
it also
the ABA team was called the LA Stars way back when. So
I didn't know that. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So perfect. So it works on a couple of levels that way.
Well, wait, we left one more thing out with the Hollywood Knights with the K. The mascot within the armor really has a lot of potential. Like he might be on a horse. He might have multiple people. I feel like as far as mascots go, there's a lot of potential with Knights with a K.
Well, even Rutgers with its Scarlet Knight has done some good things there. Army has a guy who rides out on the field in the armor. Yeah, I mean, it looks terrific. Now, I worry about specifically on the hardwood, some damage to that and what the hooves of a horse could do. But like you say, also, what about that? I mean, what are the Game of Thrones people doing? You know, what's the Hound going to be doing in about 6 months or a year from now? He's done.
He's
as
ready.
soon as the series is over. Look, now we're extending his career for him.
All right, so
yeah.
Listen, we have to go. So you've talked me into it. Hollywood Knights number 1 choice, Hollywood Stars number 2. I'm going to read all my emails over the next few days. People send me Hollywood suggestions. Send Dameshek Hollywood suggestions at Dameshek on Twitter. Hit him there. And then we're going to reconvene next week and really come up with a plan. That'll be an entire podcast, just you and me, our entire plan, our platform to talk Steve Ballmer into this. Dave Dameshek, check him out on NFL.com. Thanks for the stop by. We will do this in full next week. Hit him on Twitter, please. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Best to Jalen and the rest of the gang. Great work out there on the road.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, great.
All right. Since this was the biggest LA sports news in a long time, we had to have one of the icons of Los Angeles and somebody who has a very vested interest in the Clippers not being successful, since that would upset the apple cart of his life. Jimmy Kimmel, my old boss. How are you?
You know, I'm doing well, and I have to say I appreciate being called an icon, but I hadn't really realized how important the Clippers were to my life until you just mentioned it. And you're right, they are. It's something I can count on, them losing and bad things happening to them.
Yep, you told me I moved to LA. I got season tickets 2 years later, and you laughed. You thought it was the funniest thing ever that I was giving Donald Sterling money. You told me over and over again they were never going to be good, ever, as long as he was in charge, that they were jinxed, that it was always a Lakers town. I was a fool. I was giving him money, and I shouldn't. And I can't say you were wrong. I got to see some good basketball, but technically you were not wrong.
And it is one thing you can count on, but also it's fascinating because I don't know that it was Donald. I mean, for sure he was a big part of it. But you figure if there is such a thing as a deal with the devil, he'd have one, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah. And so there must not be that. That must not exist. So, but he's such a despicable man. I actually had a long conversation about him the night before this news came out. I was telling a couple of guys, I felt like it was underreported. And in fact, should we talk about the fact that I wanted to make a 30 for 30 about him?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I had talked to you in like January or February about doing a 30 for 30 short. I really wanted you to do one. I think you'd be good at it, and it's not that time consuming. So I asked you to come up with an idea. And what was the idea?
My idea was to put out a documentary about Donald Sterling, very complimentary about his life, his career, and really declaring him a winner. And then somewhere in the end credits, I wanted to suggest that Donald Sterling himself had produced this documentary and never put my name on it at all. And watch people go berserk attacking ESPN for putting this piece of propaganda on the air. And I really wanted to do it. I mean, I was planning to do it. And I don't know. I guess I'm glad I didn't, because ESPN would never air it. But I feel like I was ahead of my time on that one.
You were, because we had talked about it a couple different ways. Like, is it an entire short? Is it just a trailer for an upcoming 30 for 30? And then just kind of near at the end, it says produced by Donald Sterling, stuff like that. Like how we could have done it.
All I knew is I wanted it to end with the words, Donald Sterling is a winner. And then freeze frame on him smiling with his fist raised in the air.
So the Clippers were bought for $2 billion. You did not You did not get the Clippers. I don't even think you were in a group.
That hasn't been approved yet, by the way. Oprah and I have not had a chance to put our offer in, which is going to be quite a bit more than $2 billion, quite a bit more. And so we'll see what happens on Monday.
In all seriousness, did you talk to Oprah and whoever else about potentially getting involved in one of the bids?
In all seriousness, no, I did not.
Okay.
With Oprah.
I wouldn't put anything past you. I don't know how serious Oprah was, though. I feel like she threw her name out, but I don't know. Do you think she was actually in on the Geffen bid?
I don't know if she even threw her name out. I think Oprah probably was like, okay, what are the Clippers?
They play basketball. Diddy was thrown into it, and Magic was thrown into it. I never thought for a second Magic would want to own a team in LA that wasn't the Lakers. It just, after having gotten to know him last year, it just seemed inconceivable that he was just going to switch sides. Like, the guy bleeds Lakers, you know. I just didn't see it.
Well, he has indicated in the past an interest in ownership in teams other than the Lakers. Just the Clippers, that would seem very, very strange.
All right, so here's the real reason I'm calling you, other than to say hello.
And by the way, also, I just want to say, has there ever been a worse punishment than this? Paying somebody $2 billion.
It really, it's the all-time worst slap on the wrist anyone's ever gotten. Although it really does sound like, by all accounts, he might have dementia and just be a complete lunatic. I mean, he was always a lunatic, but now it's like he just might be really off the reservation. So Dameshek and I, for years and years, Dameshek used to work for you as well. Until you fired him for stealing gummy bears from the cafeteria. But you didn't actually do that. But we had always talked about the best thing the Clippers could do was change their name. Yeah. It was just shed the history. You shed the baggage. When you're trying to create a new identity, you can't do it if your old identity was just you being the black sheep of the LA sports scene and the laughing stock and the team that always screwed up. There's no way to really get away from that. You have to rebrand yourself. So we had always argued about whether it made more sense. Like, what would the new name be? We settled on Hollywood. First of all, do you agree that they need to change their name?
Yes. Yes, I do. I think I have a great idea. It just popped into my head.
Okay, hold on. Okay. So our second part of the idea was that they should change the Los Angeles to Hollywood. Do you agree with that?
No.
Okay, what do you suggest then?
Well, I suggest, in honor of recent events and in honor of, and really to kind of quell all the problems that have been happening around the Clippers, they named the team after Dr. Maya Angelou.
The Los Angeles Maya Angelous?
Maybe the Los Angelou Mayas or something like that. I mean, this could be great. We could get Oprah back into this.
So you have the Los Angeles Angels and the Los Angeles Angelus?
Yeah, why not?
That would be interesting.
The Los Angeles Blues. I mean, I haven't hammered it all out. I haven't drawn the logos up yet.
Keep working on it.
Into my head.
Like, they read poetry before the games. So if you had to pick between the Hollywood Stars and the Hollywood Knights, what would you pick?
Well, I picked the Hollywood Knights. But my fondness for that movie. The Hollywood Stars were also a baseball team, minor league baseball team here in LA.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think I don't know. I think there's some history to that you shouldn't mess with. But I go with the Hollywood Knights, yeah. The Hollywood Knights, if you had to. But I don't think either of those are great choices.
Well, let's say you went Hollywood Knights. Would you go Hollywood Knights with a K and go suit of armor, Game of Thrones type mascot situation?
K, yeah.
Well, but you could also go Hollywood Knights with an N and have like a cool Hollywood, the aura of the city, like that kind of thing. You could go that direction too.
That's interesting, yeah. They're just so far from Hollywood. Although I guess the Angels are far from LA too. Although no, we don't accept that. I mean, does anybody accept the Los Angeles Angels besides the owner of the team?
Well, that's the thing. Like, the Detroit Pistons are the Detroit Pistons, but they play 31 miles from Detroit. You know, like, people have taken liberties with this stuff all the time. And the reality is, when they show a Laker game, they show Hollywood Hills and they show the Hollywood Walk of Stars and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it is a little different because you are suggesting that the Detroit is the big city in which the Pistons reside, and Hollywood is a town within the big city, and that would make sense if they did play in this town, but they don't.
Would you call them the Hollywood Hills?
I wouldn't call them the Hollywood anything.
How about the Hollywood Walk? That was the worst name we could come up with. So you would stick with Los Angeles, but you would just change the last name.
Yeah, if you're going to go local, I mean, go with call them the Lots Riot or something like that. That could be good.
The Los Angeles Riot? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but at least we know that they should change the name. Do you feel like because I haven't been in LA the last few weeks, how big of a deal was this Clipper thing in LA? Like, do you feel like this was capturing all the dinner conversations, or was this just kind of a sports story?
No, I think it was a big deal here in LA. I don't know how it was around of course, you're mixed up in basketball, so it's a bigger deal you too. But I was fishing in the Bahamas with a bunch of guys who aren't from LA last week, and it was a big topic around the dinner table for sure.
Were you surprised by the price? Did you ever think in a million years the Clippers would go for $2 billion? That's
funny in its own, but it is also funny how far off people are on these numbers. Right. The first number we heard was $700 million, and everyone's like, "Oh, $700 million! Oh, God, wow, that's a ton of money." And then somehow it just leaps to $2 billion. Like, how can there be that? I mean, it's like if you went to go buy a car, and it's like, this list at $35,000, but you can take it home for $118. It doesn't make any sense. Who is estimating these prices?
You know who wasn't off? Your friend Bill Simmons. I was telling people all in the month of April, I said 1.5 billion minimum, and I predicted 1.75. And everybody thought I was a lunatic. But when you get rich people involved, they just want something. They don't care what the price is. The guy wanted to own the Clippers. He didn't care what the price was. He's got $10 billion. What does he care?
So do you think this sale will happen? I mean, I know that Shelley Sterling they've declared Donald incompetent or mentally incompetent or whatever, which seems like they should have done that about 35 years ago.
Right, 1979.
I mean, can you just declare somebody incompetent and move on? Or, I mean, isn't he now going to fight his own family?
It certainly sets a precedent. Like, if we could just start declaring family members incompetent, it really does open the door for a lot of possibilities.
I could nix about half of my family, by the way.
From all ages. Wouldn't even have to be the older ones.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the Sterlings are such dark, evil people that I could just see them doing anything. I could see them planning this whole thing out, that they have the guaranteed price and the sale, but then Sterling's also going to sue to try to get more money in a lawsuit from the NBA, and like, he really doesn't have dementia. Like, it's almost like one of those ABC or NBC soap operas from back in the day, where, like Dynasty, where you have to be prepared for any sort of plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, maybe there's a show there, the Sterling Dynasty.
Well, why haven't you had
Donald Sterling stay in L.A., or does he move away from us at this point?
And how long is he alive? I mean, could this be like a Joe Paterno thing, where this was the Clippers for his whole life, and as soon as it gets taken away, that's it. He's like dead in a year. Like, I feel like it would head toward that way. The Clippers were the only thing he had going for him. Otherwise, he was just this nasty guy who didn't really have any friends, and he owned a lot of property, you know?
Yeah.
And the Clippers were his one chance to kind of sit courtside and be the man, and he's 2 seats away from Bob Iger, and you know what I mean? Like that. And Billy Crystal's on the other side, and he's important. And now he's not important. He's just a guy who has a lot of money. There's a lot of people like that. What's going on?
If I was him, I'd be thinking of something. I don't know. Maybe I'd take 500 or 600 black people on a cruise.
Well, don't you think he'll give like 40 million of this money, I feel like, to the NACP, or he'll do some sort of something to try to get the stink of the Sterling name off him. And it'll be interesting, like, because let's say he gave $40 million to the NAACP right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Like, that would really help a lot of people.
Maybe they give him another award.
They probably would. Maybe.
I bet his family will do something along those lines, and I don't know if he will. I mean, this is a guy you have to remember, and this is what the conversation I had before the scandal erupted. This is a guy who puts an ad in the newspaper every time he makes a donation, and
right.
And I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard that the ads oftentimes cost more than the donation.
Yes. It's something to think about for you. Maybe you should start putting giant ads thanking yourself for doing things.
Congratulating myself.
Yeah, just congratulating yourself in different publications. Congratulations to Jimmy Kimmel.
He's putting these ads in the paper, so no one is actually seeing them. But so there is some justice. He's getting ripped off in one area.
What happened with your show for May Sweeps? Anything exciting, interesting, unusual?
I don't know. I'm on vacation this week, so I haven't really thought about it.
You haven't thought about your show during vacation?
Hey, well, I think about it constantly, but we don't have anything planned. Well, we have the NBA shows coming up, and by the way, May Sweeps is over.
Is it officially over? Yeah, I guess it ended today, right? Or did it end last week?
No,
How does May
Sweeps
Sweeps work?
Last week, yeah.
So why do they have May Sweeps, but then it doesn't end before the end of May?
It's always like a week off. It's a week shifted either into April or, at the end of I don't know.
You killed it, the upfronts again, but then every other network had like their version of your upfront thing. It was kind of your territory. I felt like some people were on your corner a little bit.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird that, at that network upfront now that everyone brings out a comedian to roast his own network in the upfront. But it went pretty well. I was worried that the other guys would do all the jokes before I got there, but it went fine.
How late you were up the night before?
Oh, almost the whole night.
And then you did Stern the next. When did you do Stern? Monday or Tuesday?
Monday.
So you basically don't sleep when you go to New York and you do that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't. It's not a fun trip for me. No.
And you have a child coming.
Oh wow, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Very soon.
I do.
In July?
Yeah.
Oh my! I don't even know what's going to happen with you. You
I don't know. I said to my daughter. My daughter's 22 years old. I said last night. I said, "What am I going to do with a baby?"
What did she say?
She just laughed.
But also, it's your head writer having the baby.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
I know. But how's that?
Yeah, I know. It's what you get when you impregnate key executives at your office.
I can't wait to see how this plays out. You with a baby, with your carefully structured life where you're a workaholic and you work all these hours in a day, and now you're throwing a baby into this. It's going to be like, you should just make this a reality show on ABC.
Yeah, great. I need more cameras following me.
More camera. Yeah.
The truth is, I've always been like this, and I have two kids, so I'll figure it out.
All right.
I'm good.
Well,
I'm good with children.
If you need babysitters, just holler.
I'm sure you'll be right over.
I'm ready to right over. The Simmons family is there for you. We're ready. Jimmy Kimmel, enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thank you for weighing in the Clippers.
Yeah,
good luck.
Don't count me out yet. I mean, I could still come out of nowhere with $3 billion.
Oh wait, we should mention quickly. Your shows. You're going to have finals shows before every finals game starting June 5th. ABC.
Yeah.
Wait, is it 8:00 or 8:30?
It's 8:00, and it's right before the pregame show. I think this is our 7th year of doing it.
Right, and it's our 2nd year where you're on, and then I'm on, and Jalen and I might even be on one of your pregame shows.
That's right. That's right.
So check those out. 8:00 during the finals. June 5th, game 1. June 8th, game 2, and so on. It goes down the line. Jimmy, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
All right. Good talking to you.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
Gotta say, Golick, great call on grabbing Subway for lunch and getting guacamole on our subs.
Told you this new guac really amps up the flavor.
Yep, something adding up things can be great. Guacamole on your sub, a new co-host to replace you.
What was that?
Oh, no, nothing.
Subway now has deliciously rich new guacamole made from ripe Hass avocados with just a hint of garlic, onion, and jalapeno. Discover how new guacamole turns up the flavor on any of your freshly made favorites. Subway, eat fresh.